And welcome to the Marketing Mindset Mastery radio show with your host, Marie Mason. And oh my gosh, are we going to have a great show for you? And I've been having some tech gremlins this year, so just bear with me as we try to readjust. And here's my philosophy on that. Anytime that you have something challenging, whether it's finances or tech or whatever it is, my philosophy is this: something good is coming your way. So it's going to be a victory at the end, and we're going to keep claiming that. So, right, Elaine, because Elaine is our
Yes.
guest today. Elaine's a really good friend of mine. She's been with me for, wow, for like 3 years, maybe. I've known you about
Yeah.
almost that long. Yeah. So, and it's a pleasure having you on the show. It's taken us a while to get you on the show, and I'm super glad you're here.
Thanks.
And normally I put people behind the stage, but today I'm not, because I'm operating on a cell phone because I'm trying to get Zoom to cooperate with my computer. Ever since it had to go to the shop this past week, it has not been behaving like a good friendly software that it should. So long story short, that's what we're dealing with, and I appreciate everyone being patient with us as we've been dealing with lots of gremlins this year. And hopefully this is the only time we deal with them. But you know how things go, right? You never know. You got to be able to be flexible and flow. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents for today. So today we have a great show, but before we bring up Elaine's topic, we're going to do the top tips of the week, and I'm going to try to kind of prep your mind for Elaine's talk, and hopefully this will flow. I was thinking and racking my brain on what things might work well with your topic, Elaine, so hopefully this will resonate with you. Really quick, I'm your host, Marie Mason, for the Marketing Mindset Mastery podcast, and Planning Phoenix. Last episode was on December 30th. She will return as a guest periodically, so she is not completely gone. She has just stepped down as co-host, and we will be bringing a new co-host in probably around the March timeframe. So I'm just giving you, I'm going to be flying solo, and it's still going to be the same similar format. So be prepared, buckle up, and here we go. So top tip of the week is there's 3 tips on removing the overwhelm in your business. Because let's face it, when you get started, there's so many pieces to your business, right, Elaine? I mean, oh my gosh, it could get really overwhelming. And I remember when I started, you remembered how I was overwhelmed at the beginning.
Yes.
You remember my early days. So 3 tips. I'm going to keep it really simple and short because Eileen's going to get into more details, and some of this she might touch on as well. So first tip is write down your attainable goals. Make them short, sweet, simple, and something that's achievable. You don't want to get too big too fast when you're too soon. You do want to have an end goal, long-term goal in mind, but let's face it, try to get those bite-sized goals written down first. Something that's simple, easy, short, and attainable. Okay, and I have a goal setting workbook for the people who need that. And then make sure you prioritize the tasks that are going to help you achieve those goals. Your tasks have to relate to the goals that you're trying to accomplish. Because if you're doing something outside of that, it's going to be counterproductive and not as something that's going to help you move your business forward. I know I called them time wasters or time stealers.
Mm-hmm.
And we have them at our disposal, even more so than now. So many electronic devices and apps and craziness. You got to be very selective of where you spend your time. Okay, which brings me to time. You need to plan your calendar in order to stay focused on achieving your goals. And if it could be a handheld device, it could be an online app, it could be a paper, whatever floats your boat. And we're all working different modalities, and I'm totally cool with it. It's however works best for you and your business model. But the tip is, when you plan your day and you get all your tasks on that day, and you get all your calls and your whatever, sometimes even your laundry list. But anyway, long story short, just make sure that you carve out time for doing something for your business every day, as well as doing something and serving for your clients. And also make sure you do time plan time to do something simple like, oh, I don't know, maybe learning a new skill or learning, doing some kind of learning for you, because you got to be able to add to you as well. Because let's face it, if you're not dumping good stuff into you and being able to help yourself grow, then it's hard for you to serve your clients. Wouldn't you agree, Elaine? I don't know.
Yes, yes, absolutely. You have to take care of yourself, and you have to continue to grow and learn.
Exactly. So you got that tip for both of us. So anyway, do go to libertyvirtualsolutions.com homepage. I do have a wonderful goal setting book that I've used for years, and it's very effective. It's helped me achieve pretty much most of whatever I've done, including even getting bridesmaids dresses for my wedding back in 2002. So anyway, so you could tell it's been tried and true. And believe it or not, Elaine, I've been married 19 years now. I am really shocked that I've lasted that long. Wow. Grateful and shocked at the same time. So anyway, but let's just move forward. So today, our guest, of course, I've been chatting with today is Elaine Sellers. And she's going to be focusing on streamlining your life and working smarter, not harder. So again, welcome back to the Marketing Mindset Mastery radio. I'm so used to saying the radio show. It's really the podcast now. And I'm your host, Maureen Mason. Our lovely and talented guest is Elaine Sellers. And she is a time investment consultant. Do I have that correct, Elaine? Just making sure,
yes.
Confirming that. Okay, good. And she is from Pennsylvania, US, so she's on the East Coast. So yay, East Coast rules. I'm just saying, on the East Coast. Makes it so much easier to do calls like this because we're on the same time zone.
Yes.
So, and she is the owner of Avenue Admin, and today's topic is getting the most out of your time. So take it away, Elaine, and welcome. We're so happy to have you. It's been ages since we last talked. So you doing
thank
good?
you, Marie. I'm really glad to be here, and I appreciate you having me on the show today.
Well, we appreciate having you here because anytime that we can make our lives more productive and easier. When Elaine started, I'll give you all a tip. Elaine started working with me, and she gave us, I think early on in my business, she gave us a form to fill out, and it was a questionnaire, and it was helping us assess our time. Do you remember that one? I don't know if you still have that form.
Yes, and I still use it with my clients.
Sweet. And so it was a real eye opener because she was shocked when I told her I have like 80 hours of time dumped into my business every week. But what I didn't realize was a lot of it was time wasters. Yes. So there we go. And so with a lot of discussions later with Elaine and people in our coaching group at the time, I really trimmed down my hours to probably less than 40 hours in my business now.
Good for you.
Thank you. And and I have really simplified my processes, which is something hopefully maybe we'll get you to talk about too. Maybe later, we'll see. But long story short is if I can take and trim half of my time in my business, I probably need to spend even less than that now because I really streamlined what I do to the point where I'm only putting time and stuff into really what matters the most. Mm-hmm. I've gotten all my content written, and so now I just have to repurpose it. So now and I'm trying to utilize tools to automate some of my processes, so it's less time doing things manually, which I don't know about you is a big time waster right there, right? Wouldn't you agree? Sure. Yeah.
Anything that you can automate is great.
Mm-hmm. And just don't forget to keep the human touch to it, though. Sure. Make sure you have the human touch. But anyway, so my first question to get us rolling really is, what are you the most passionate about with this type of work that you're doing?
I am really passionate about helping other business owners. You and I started out, as you have said, a few years ago, and I didn't know anything about owning a business. I had come from working in the corporate world my whole career.
Mhm.
And I thought, well, I'm smart. I can figure this out. And I did. But boy, as you mentioned, it was really overwhelming at first. There's so many moving parts. I am a solo entrepreneur. I don't have any support staff or other people to help me. So I'm doing it all. I'm the bookkeeper, and I'm sales and marketing and graphic design and keeping up with the website. There's a lot to it. And then
Lot of
there are
moving
so
parts.
many decisions to be made. Which direction are you going to go? Because in our digital world, the options are almost limitless.
Yeah.
And so I really
That's-
want to help other people. I learned the hard way. And I want to teach other owners how to, so they don't have to go through what I did. I want to teach you how to structure and use your time well so that you can avoid your business taking over your life.
Right.
And
it
I know
can.
you were working 80, 100 hours a week. How do you
Easy.
have time for your family and yourself and your household chores and things? You really can do all of that if you know how to use your time well.
It does. And it really does boils down to creating a balance in your schedule so that you do have the flexibility to spend time with your family. Because what's the point of building a business if you're not going to have time to do what you wanted to do in the first place? Just have more time for your family and friends.
Right.
Because I learned that in the last 3 or 4 years that I needed to have time to get laundry done. I need to have time to cook. I need to have time to actually have a quality time with my family and friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't being able to do that when I was obsessing over every little task that had to be done. Because like you, when I first started, I didn't have a team. I was starting solo. And then I started gradually gaining a team, which did help. But in the end, I realized I was still doing the majority of the work. Because let's face it, you can hire people and they could be reliable, but some people aren't as reliable as you would like them to be. Mm-hmm. And you end up going behind them and fixing things. And I don't know about you, I have a hard time letting go of tasks that, that I feel like, you want to keep your hand in it, so to speak. And that's when I've had to learn to let go and let my team own certain tasks. But it took a long time to get to that point for me. And I've had to rebuild my team in a course of 3 years. And that's okay. Because, let's face it, not everybody's there for the long term. And they may not catch the vision or the mission or the goals. Mm-hmm. And they might not be ready to be part of that kind of a commitment at that point. So you have to learn to be flexible.
Yes.
But you're right. You're right. And everything that you said so far. So. No, it's true. But we all learn, right? We all learn, we grow. And that's why you have the business model that you have, because you learned from all your mistakes, like you were saying earlier. So we all learn. So that's brilliant. So what is the, I guess that leads to the first question. Can you tell me a little bit about your corporate life background before you got started?
Sure. I have always been an executive admin. I have had a bunch of different titles. I've been department coordinator, office manager, all of those kinds of things, but it was primarily an administrative support role. And I love the support role. I did it for 30 years, and it just makes me happy to be able to support other people. And so when I left the corporate world to start my own business, I wanted a business where I could continue to support other people. I'm just really passionate about helping others and teaching them what I know and helping them to get over their challenges.
Right. And I can tell that from working with you in the past that you're very passionate and that people really love the work that you do to help them overcome their little challenges and also any kind of task that they might be needing done, you're willing to at least help them move forward in their business. And I know you have a great deal of passion. It shows clearly in everything that you say. So that's awesome. And then we, as business owners, appreciate people like yourself because we need to be organized. Just saying. So the next question comes to mind is, I think you mentioned it before, but could you kind of be specific on who it is you specifically help with? You said you business owners, are there a specific type of business? Are they freelancers? Are they virtual assistants? Small business owners?
Freelancers, business owners, to me, they mean the same thing. You are working for yourself. And I typically work with service providers.
Okay.
And people that work alone, solo entrepreneurs.
Okay. So people like myself who has a service-based business, like I'm in it, I'm actually really narrowed it down to being an event planner because I realized that most of my clients in the last year or so have needed help in the planning stages and not in the event, management stage.
Mhm.
So, so I think having some specific something like that as an example would be a ideal client for yourself. So
yes,
this is an example, not the only, limited to. So you are definitely much more broader than most people realize, I'm sure. So that's why I wanted to highlight that. So perfect. Okay. And then the next one is trying to think of some other things that I wanted to ask you. We have some specific questions here, and I wanted to make sure I highlight them. Okay. What specifically do you do to help them?
To help my clients?
Correct.
Yes. I offer a signature program called Time Investment. And in this 8-week program, I work one-on-one with a client, with a business owner. And I really work to start is to get to know them. As you mentioned in your opening, it's not about everybody doing it the same way. It's about finding the way that works best for you. And in order for me to do that, I really need to understand you, the way you think, your preferences, and how your business works. And then also through the 8-week program, we'll use the time assessment form that you mentioned, and then take a look at that and identify what of that time is really valuable for your business and what parts of that time are not adding any value.
And help and streamline that, correct?
Yeah. Right. And then we use the 3 tools of time investment.
Which are what?
They are choice, schedule, and boundaries.
Love it.
Choose how to spend your time, schedule everything, and then put boundaries in place so that those time wasters don't creep in. And it can be from other people or many different things, but it's really important to protect your time. I call your schedule is your investment plan, your time investment plan. And then your boundaries protect that investment to make sure your time is going where you want it to.
No, that's brilliant. So it's choice. And what was the second one? And then there was boundaries. It was
choice, schedule, and boundaries.
Right. And those really are the key to any business success. It doesn't matter. It's sort of universal for all business models. Basically.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is perfect. And then I was going to ask you a couple of questions. I'm kind of flip-flopping around, so just kind of bear with me. I'm kind of seeing if I can line them up so they flow well. So my question is, do you have any favorite tools you'd like to use with either doing like scheduling and stuff, or any tools of the trade that you use for your business that you would recommend for a business owner, especially those who are getting started off? 'Cause
Are you
there's so many.
speaking of like apps and software and things?
Well, I'm thinking more how to apply the tools in your business. So,
Oh, okay. Okay.
it was that I wanted to double check, make sure I have it written correctly.
Okay. All right. Well, you start with choice.
Okay.
Don't choose it all, and you become the passive receiver of whatever comes your way.
Right.
And that's how you end up wasting time. If you haven't chosen how to spend your time, then as a business owner, there are all of these things flying at you, coming in through your emails and other sources, social media. And all of a sudden, the day's gone by and you don't even know what you did. And
That's
so
my
you
plan.
really have to make deliberate choices about what actions best move your business forward. People often say, oh, I wish I had time for.
Mhm.
No, you don't have to wish. You
It's the main-
choose. You decide. If it's that important, you make time for it and you let something else go so that you have time for that. I wish I had time implies that you're out of control, that you are not in control. And that's false. You are in control. You do get to choose. And so choice is really powerful because it puts you in control.
That's perfect. And then it leads to scheduling because you need to really plan your day, like we were alluding to earlier.
Yes, I put everything on my calendar. I mean, ahead of time, you schedule appointments and things like that on your calendar. But when it comes to the day before, I look at my calendar and I decide at 8 o'clock, I'm going to check my email. And at 9 o'clock, I have a client meeting. And at 10 o'clock, I'm going to check Facebook. But I really break it down to exactly what I'm doing and when I'm doing it. Keeps you from getting distracted. You
And it keeps you
choose what you're
accountable.
going to do and make a plan.
Right. And it keeps you accountable too, because you got that written down on your calendar and you know what you're doing from each point of the day. So that's
Yes.
brilliant. Is there a particular calendar you like to use? Are you using Gmail? Are you using a calendar software to integrate with something like a tool? I mean, is there a specific tool?
I just use my Outlook calendar.
Okay.
It's what I've used for many years and I'm familiar and comfortable with it. I don't know that the particular tool matters. What matters most is that it works for you.
Right. But it's always good to learn because I use Gmail, for example, and then I integrate it with whatever software, like CRM software, and then I make sure it connects with everything that I'm using. So that's just one idea. But it's always good to have another option because, people getting started off, like I said, there's so many good choices.
Yes.
And you just have to nail down what that is that works best for you and your business model. And you have to know what it is the functions are so that knows that way you have clarity on what it is you need to use it for. So anyway, the next one is for the tools is boundaries. That's something I had to learn to do. I even had to set boundaries with my family who would like to sit there and think, oh, she's free, she's at home, she doesn't work anywhere, and they didn't see that I was on calls. They would come in and say, Mom or Hun, where is such and such, or what's dinner, and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, I'm on a call and I'm recording, please don't interrupt. So I had to sit there and politely use my P's and Q's because I don't want to yell at them in front of people that are potential clients,
Sure.
And then I had to sit there and tell them when the headset is on and I'm looking at my Zoom in my computer, there's a good chance I am recording or talking to somebody. Don't interrupt. Unless you're on fire, don't interrupt me. And I usually say that in a funny way because we like to be entertaining, but at the same time, if you're not like bleeding, hurt, or the house on fire, just wait, just, be polite and wait because if it's not urgent, I will get to you and you are important. But at the same time, what's in front of me right now has to be my focus. So I've had to learn to set those boundaries with my family as well as clients. I don't know about you, but I had clients that would call me in 10 minutes to midnight. I'm like, I'm shutting down and I'm trying to go to bed. And you want a conversation, I'm not going to be coherent at like midnight. And, you need to schedule during normal business hours. I'm sorry if you're 3 hours behind me and you're just writing down your day, but I'm writing down my day and it's a lot later. So yeah, and my family is asleep by 10 o'clock at night. And I'm usually up because I'm a night owl. I'm trying to change that. But the long story short is you also have to go with you have to be really clear on those boundaries. And I was going to say, is there a specific, what's the word I'm going to use? Is there something specific in how you clearly define the boundaries for your clients? I mean, is there something like a process or, do you have it all? You know what I mean?
Yeah. From looking at the time assessment, that really shows what boundaries need to be in place.
Okay.
And they're different for each person.
Right.
And different for each business. I used to waste a lot of time on social media. I was spending way more time there than I even realized until I did the time assessment. And I was shocked at how much time I was blowing on social media. And I cut it down to like a third. I thought there's other things that I need to be doing. And it's so easy for it to happen without you even realizing it. And that's how you end up at the end of the day looking back and thinking, I was really busy, but I don't feel like I got anything done. And so social media is one example of things that can distract you. And there are other things too. I'm a big one for turning off notifications. There's notifications for email. There's notifications on your phone. There's notifications for social media. I recommend turn all that stuff off and set time on your calendar to check where those notifications are coming from.
I even did that on my phone because
Good for you.
And it happened, and what happened recently because I was getting so overwhelmed with all those notifications, and it was just draining my battery power. I noticed that too. So during the snowstorm on Monday, the 3rd of January of this year, I went in and turned off a lot of those notifications and only turned on the ones I really wanted to hear from. Sure. And that really saved my battery power and be less distracting. I'm not hearing all those extra bings and buzzes, and they have their own chimes, don't they? So you kind of have to really focus and streamline your attention. In fact, my friends complain because I don't answer the phone right away. Right. I let it voicemail, and they're like, well, you don't pick it up. And I'm like, so how is calling me twice going to get me to answer the phone any quicker? If I'm busy, I won't answer it. If I'm, again, setting those boundaries, because you have to even let your friends know when your door's open, and they may not always want to respect your schedule, but I made it very clear to certain people that, who like to call me constantly. And I'm like, don't call me constantly. I'm not available 24/7 when you want me to call, because I'm running a business. I have a house too, and I have a child, even though you may have 3 kids and complain, or 4 kids or 5 kids or whatever it is they have. I'm like, we all have different levels of busyness, and it's a matter of us respecting each other's schedules and, connect, send a text message first. And then sometimes it's almost better than to interrupt them by calling them. Because you might find a faster response, because if they're busy on a phone call, they're not going to be able to answer the phone, Right. So those are just some other tips that I've learned from my own experiences regarding boundaries. And oh my gosh, it takes a while to establish them, but once you do, then everything works like a well-oiled machine. I don't know if that's what you find, but it does.
Yes. It really, and even you're talking about those notifications and the dings and things that your phone makes. Even just the physical, just hearing the sound distracts your mind. Even if you don't look at it, if you're trying to write a blog or a social media post, that sound pulls your mind away from the task at hand. And so even if you have minimal notifications, when you're doing something you really need to concentrate on, like writing an article or a blog, turn your phone off or put it on do not disturb. So you're not even hearing those sounds. You can check it in an hour. And to your point, you talk about your family and your friends not respecting your boundaries. That's why it's so important to have them in place and to be kind but firm.
Yeah.
No, I can't talk right now. My husband did it this morning. He came through where I was working and started saying something about the football game. And I said, I'm working. I'll come talk to you when I'm on my break.
Yeah, that's good.
And you just, especially with family and friends, it's something you have to keep doing.
It's ongoing because
Yes, it is.
They keep thinking that because you're home, you're free. I had people come, neighbors want to come in and ask me to do X, Y, Z, or can I do my laundry on Thursdays at 6 o'clock when I was doing my podcast live on a radio show? And we're like, no, you cannot do it at 6 o'clock. Now, if you want to come afterwards at 7 o'clock or 7:15, I'll be free and you can do it then. She went huffed off and went to go find somebody else who was free to help her do whatever it is she wanted to do. And we're like, you have to understand, my schedule is consistent. There's some things that are consistent at least. And I tried to have some things in place and it just took time. It's not that I didn't want to help my neighbor. I said, if you come back later, I can help you. If you come back like within an hour, I can help you. Right. But during this time, that is something that I have a commitment to, and I can't have the dryer, even with noise cancellation on headsets.
Sure.
I could not have the dryer on in the background because everybody in the world will be hearing it on the radio. And, we couldn't have that. So, and it's really distracting to have background noise and stuff like that. So setting boundaries inside your house with noise levels is also a blessing. Yes. You can't always control the dog barking and the birds singing, but, at the same time, you can find ways to overcome anything that could be distracting. So that's a very good point.
Yes.
Yeah, eliminate that would be a good discussion. How do you eliminate your distractions with boundaries? There you go. Might be a good title.
Yes. And that's one of the things that I work with my clients in the time investment program. That's one of the areas that we cover. What does distract you and what can we do to minimize that so that you can really focus? Because focus is key. If you're jumping from one thing to another, you've got 10 things in a partial state of completion.
That's true.
You need to work on, the focus of time investment is do less to accomplish more. Don't do 10 things, do 2 things.
Right.
And focus on those 2 things only until they're complete. And then you can pick 2 more things.
Right. And your brain really can only handle so much at the same time too, without losing focus. So that makes perfect sense. And all of our brains are wired differently. I can manage lots of different projects, but I still have to focus on 1 or 2 of them at a time to get it to completion. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents. So anyway, but I also do everything in bite-sized pieces. So it's not like in huge chunks. So there you go. Short chunks of time versus large chunks of time. So that's one way to end that one. So that's good. One of the things when you said how easy it is to get distracted and going from one place to another, that's how I clean the house and organize. I was laughing in the background because I'm like, I go down what I refer to as rabbit holes. And I'll I have to put something away, but now I have to make space in this corner to be able to put it away. And so I like pulling things out and throwing things out and like deciding what needs to be kept and not. And then I go down another rabbit hole and then I'm like, I still get pockets of stuff organized, but it's like showing a small dent. I'm showing progress, but at the same time, it's like I make a mess along the way and I have to clean up the mess afterwards. But long story short is, don't go down those rabbit holes in your business, because those are time wasters, is what we're trying to say in the long story short of it. I was just using the way I cleaned my house as an example, because it's true, because we'll go down from one project and realize, oh, I have to finish this to be able to get this link and add it here.
Mhm.
Do one first, then move on to the next one. And you're going to find that you're going to have a lot more clarity if you do it
Yes.
that way. And that's coming from experience. And I just had to be able to do my house the same way too. Just saying. But it's going to get help. Put it that way, because I can't do this house by myself. But anyway, it wasn't just my mess that created it. So it's going to have other people pitching in pretty soon. I'm just forewarning my family. They're going to be, because it's all of our goal this year is to get organized. So there you go. At least we're on the same page. That's good. And that brings me to some other questions I wanted to ask you. You had said at some point, you like to help your clients with setting boundaries and some of the tools and stuff that we talked about already. So my question is, what is your favorite outcome for client work?
I love when my clients can be free from the overwhelm. People that I work with come to me because they are overwhelmed and frustrated, and they don't know what to do. They have all of these things flying at them, and they're working long hours and they're working really hard, and they want to do well. And so I help them to back away from some of that work so that they can do well, and so that they can still have a life. Most of us own businesses because we wanted more time for ourselves and our families. And if your business is taking away from those things, then it's time for a change. And I love to see the light bulb go on. I love to see the breakthrough of people say, oh, this is so freeing and this is so much better. And I really am making more progress.
That's perfect. And I found my light bulb moment was I started doing a business strategy academy for my business students back in November of 2020. And I launched it with both students, and 5 of them completed the program in December of 2021. And I couldn't be prouder. And they're in the leadership program now, which we launched already last week. And so that one's more of a hands-on focus. And then the other one's more of a, build your business foundation kind of thing, and get your business model working and operational, and getting clients and all that aspects of it, and building a team, and really focusing on all those pieces to it. I think you've seen some of that. As far as, if you go on the website, you can look it up for Liberty Virtual. It's Strategy Lady Academy is the business academy name. So if you go on my website, Liberty Virtual Solutions, it has a landing page that explains all that. But long story short, what we did was we did a productivity worksheet. And I had them literally go on one-on-one calls with me, and we would go through the productivity worksheet. I wanted to know where they were spending their time, where they were spending their money, where were they spending their focus on their business. And I really wanted to get specific. And I did the same for myself. So I tried to practice what I preach, because I don't want to sit there and, be the one who says something and not the one that follows what she says, because that just doesn't seem to align with my values, just saying. So one of the things I found out with not just myself, but also with my students is, oh my gosh, we were spending time, like we were talking about earlier, too much time in free stuff and not with free clients, and not enough with paid clients. Then we made flips and switches. And for myself and for my, I was spending way too much time giving away stuff for free, including my time. And I scaled back on the number of calls I did with people. And I've been really selective on where I willing to sit there and get on calls. I don't like those sales calls, pitches to me, to be quite honest. I have trimmed back on the number of calls who want to sell to me. And I said, you either are going to go on a call with me with the focus of becoming a client on my podcast or being a student or join my network group. I have also a new networking group I started in November. Seems to be a lot of things I start in the fall. Go figure. But anyway, because I think it takes that long for me to figure out what I'm doing with that. But anyway, long story short, you really just have to be very strategic on what you choose to focus on, is what it boils down to.
Yes.
And then really, you'll be surprised in how much time you stop wasting when you do that. So anyway, so I think you're right on point with that. And I was just being funny and giving some really clear examples on how that works, because knowing what your priorities are is going to make a big difference in your business, right? That's sort of part of what we talked about with setting those boundaries. So the next question I think we just have is, we talked a lot about time investment, and could you kind of give us more of a definition just so that people are clear about that?
Yes. I like to say that time investment turns time management upside down.
Ooh, that's good.
Time management taught us how to do more in less time. They wanted us to cram more into our schedule, and we got really busy. And busy is the problem. If you are just so busy you feel like you're running on a treadmill without an off switch, you are not making progress. You are not moving forward in your business. And so time investment turns that upside down. And that's the do less, not do more, do less. And you will actually accomplish more. You trim down, you focus, you do a few things, and you do them really, really well. And not only do you accomplish more, you feel so peaceful at the end of the day. Instead of frustrated and overwhelmed and looking at 10 things you didn't get done, you thought, this is great. I decided what I was going to do. I scheduled time. I got it done. And now I can turn my computer off and have dinner with my family without my mind being at work.
And that was my biggest struggle for the first probably 2 or 3 years, is just really, when do I turn off my business hat and my business mind and focus on my family? Because when you're working from home, it's so easy to fall into the other thing. But I just came up with a good catchphrase for you: do less and be blessed.
Oh, I like that.
A good catchphrase for you. So no, but that's really good. And I like how you defined it, because it's all about, finding the right focus for you, and making sure you do less, because, oh my gosh, I wish I had learned that earlier on. I mean, you taught me, but putting it into practice took a lot longer. And I think what it is it's so easy to sit there and say, oh, we have this task and we need the logo, we need this, we need that. But the key thing is you need to prioritize, and you need to make sure that you streamline your tasks so that you're more efficient at what you're doing. And I am sorry, let me get a, hold on a second. I don't normally do this during it, but I'm going to add light to our topic. My husband has the automatic light set, and for some reason it's usually around this time. So I had to get lights on the subject matter, and last thing you want to do is be in the dark. But anyway, and we do that because it helps conserve battery, and not battery, but power and stuff like that. But that's why we have backup lights. So anyway, this podcast has been going superly well, and I don't want it to have any issues. So long story short, we talked about the time investment, and we talked about the 3 tools we talked about how to apply we talked about how to apply the tools?
Mhm.
We have, okay, just double checking my checklist to make sure we got everything covered. I think we covered really the key points that we wanted to make. So I wanted to ask you, because we even touched a little bit in your story about how we would have done things differently. What are your 5 daily habits for your business? What are some things that you do consistently? Like you schedule time for lunch, but then what are some of the tasks that you do on a consistent basis to help you grow your business? I'm curious about that, not on the marketing side of things.
I spend regular time, weekly time, in several different marketing initiatives, including my email list and sending things out, focusing on 2 social media channels and providing good information there, as well as I'm a member of several business groups. Again, where I'm there, I'm adding value, I'm teaching people the 3 tools and those kinds of things. And so that's how I keep my business growing, developing
Good.
relationships.
And that's what I was going to bring in. One of the biggest strategies I always encourage is developing those relationships. And it's important because those relationships could become friendships. Like we became friends over a period of time, but it took time to develop that. And relationships are the key to any success in business, not to mention developing relationships with your clients, because those relationships will lead to developing other connections that could lead to more business. So it is super, super important that people understand that that is a marketing strategy that is so underutilized. People have lots of different strategies they use, but they forget the number one marketing strategy is building relationships. And that's, and oh my gosh, you build a relationship, you can with people properly, and you're going to have an explosive business. I'm just saying, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. So that's just my tip of the way. So I have a question for you. You have something with I want, before we go into that, I'd like to ask you what your action step that you want the takeaway to give to our audience today. I know you have a clear action step.
Oh, yes. I offer a free download. Go to my website, avenueadmin.com, and right at the top of the homepage, there's a place where you can sign up and you can download the time investment tools. This will tell you, give you a little bit more detail about choice and schedule and boundaries and some examples there for you so that you can apply those to your work and your business. And that's a free download, and just download it and take a look so you can make use of the tools.
Perfect. And those are the same tools that helped me realize I was spending way too much time on things that were not productive. So yeah. So, and that's a great tool. And also, don't be afraid to get in touch with Elaine Sellers and ask her for a free, what's the word I'm looking for? A free little quick call and just like a quick discovery call and see where you're at with your business.
Yes, I offer a free call. That information is on the Time Tools download. It's a free 30-minute time investment strategy session. We'll talk about what you are, where you are. I will give you an action plan on how to overcome some of your challenges. So it's free. It's a half an hour. You can book that on my Calendly page. And again, all of that link and all of that information is on the Time Tools download that you can get at avenueadmin.com.
Brilliant. So avenueadmin.com, go grab that free tool and schedule a call with Elaine, and you will not regret it. Trust me. So in the meantime, last tip of the day, Do you have something that you want to share with the audience about feeling overwhelmed? Is that the like a takeaway point tip? Do you have a takeaway tip that you want to give people?
Yes. If you feel overwhelmed every single day, then there's a problem and it's time to change something. Occasional overwhelm happens to all of us, and we all have crazy days and those things happen. But if you are feeling overwhelmed and frustrated and unaccomplished at the end of each day, there are issues that you can overcome. You do not have to live like that. You do not have to run your business like that. And you don't have to feel overwhelmed and frustrated at the end of each day. There's a better way.
And if you want to learn how, go do that assessment and talk to Elaine. She will get you straight. Trust me. So with that, oh my gosh, thanks, Elaine. I want to give a big shout out to you for being such a great guest. I hope you got lots of value from what she has shared with us. And oh my gosh, she helped me get, it's taken me a little while to apply it, but trust me, what she has is gold when it comes to getting your business hours reduced and doing it with a lot less stress. So definitely talk to her about it. Take advantage of her Avenue Admin download and go to that website to collect it. And oh my gosh, totally worth that assessment. So Elaine, thank you so much for sharing so many valuable tips to our audience to help them grow themselves and their business on our podcast. And our topic was on accomplishing more with doing less so that you can be blessed. Add that last in there. I love coming up with those little phrases.
That's fun.
It is fun. It's all part of the creative side of things, right? But I want to encourage you to go to our YouTube channel and take advantage of our offer. We will be posting it in the offer there and on our Liberty Virtual Solutions group page. We'll be also having it there as well. And you will be very glad that you took care of all of her offers for this week. And this time is a great time at the beginning of the year when we're doing our goal setting and everything. This is a good time to really assess your business and see where it's at. So I would definitely encourage that. And then we have something going to be launching between now and the end of the school year. Anybody who goes to our marketing mindset mastery merchandise shop, which is at libertyvirtualsolutions.com/shop. You will purchase a marketing mindset mastery school backpack for $45. A $5 gift card is going to be sent to a lucky teacher in the United States to help them with offsetting their classroom supplies. Because let's face it, they need help even more now than ever because everything price-wise have risen because of the last couple of years. So let's give them a little helping hand as best we can. And if you have a specific teacher in mind, let me know. And I'm in the contact form on my website at libertyvirtualsolutions.com, and I'll be happy to send it to them. So make sure you give me their name, their address, and a contact phone number and an email so I can let them notify it. So that'd be great. So long story short, I cannot believe another great episode is already coming to a close. It goes by so fast with each guest. And join us next week for another amazing episode for more great tips, ideas, and how to make your business and mindset work for you. And our guest next week will be providing more tips on how to set up your business for success. And we stream live every Thursday, usually at 11 o'clock Eastern time. Just remember, we are in the process of starting to record them ahead of time. And so, but they will be posted and scheduled every week on Thursdays at 11 Eastern time. So right here on my YouTube channel. So don't forget to check that out at the Marketing Mindset Mastery podcast. And also do make sure that you like, subscribe, and share our content so that you don't miss, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any more future episodes. So until next time, this is your host, Marie Mason, and our guest, Elaine Sellers, saying goodbye for now, and the Marketing Mindset Mastery podcast, and that ends this week's show. So with that, Have a great week, everybody, and Happy New Year to y'all.